So about a year ago, I decided I wanted to participate in the 12 Books in 12 Months challenge. Now, my goal in that is I am fantastic at starting stories. Oh, I love starting them, but finishing them is a little bit tricky. And I've finished quite a number, but I really wanted to hone in on these stories. Except, well, even though ultimately the goal was to write approximately 480,000 words spread over those stories, or many more words, I didn't actually finish the books that I set out to finish. In fact, while I did finish 12 books within 12 months, actually more than that, most of them weren't the ones that I intended. And, you know, I'm going to get better about that, but one of the things I really am coming to understand about myself as an author is that while I write quite prolifically, I don't really have much control over where the inspiration strikes, and I can finish things within a timely manner, but I can't micromanage them quite as much as I would like to. That may change. I do appreciate a good measure of control, and discipline is a fantastic thing to develop. So I'm going to keep working on it. In the meantime, I figure I will just share what stories I did finish. So the first one was Princess Reviled. Now, on the one hand, I didn't want to count that, except I had an amazing conversation with a marketing consultant and friend who told me, you know what, you basically have you have an issue here. You're calling this Wilderness Untamed right now, and most of the story doesn't take place in the wilderness. In fact, we don't reach the wilderness until Act 3, which is a little bit of an issue. And so after working through that, decided, okay, going to split Princess Reviled and Wilderness Untamed into 2 stories. And I thought, oh, this won't be a problem. It'll be much shorter, and I'll just need to do some edits. Well, I turned out to be quite wrong and ended up adding, I think by the time all was said and done, almost 60,000 new words completely, not counting rewritten scenes. I realized there were some concepts that I could actually dig into, and they got done, so that's a win. I promised my readers that that was going to come out, and Wilderness Untamed is going in for edits, and it actually turned out to be really, really good. Wilderness Untamed is going to have to be split again. And that's just the way it goes. Sometimes when you edit stories, you find that you need to add many more things, and especially when dealing with something like Tue-Rah Chronicles, where I started writing this series so long ago, I've matured, the things I want to discuss have changed, and even just realizing, oh, you know what, you brought this up and you did not address it. Bad author, go back and fix that. So that was taken care of. Then other stories that I got done were a Tue-Rah story. It's called Of Spiders and Puppies. That's not what it's going to continue to be called. I've really struggled with titles this particular year. And it's terrible, but it is funny. So these are my dreadful titles coming up, and most of these are going to change. But we have a Tue-Rah story of spiders and puppies. There's also Swarm, a Tue-Rah story. Aren't you just feeling so intrigued by this? I know I am. Then there's The Black Dog, which that one just wound up. I was really, really sad about some of the mythology that I read, and so I wrote this story, and it's actually still a little bit sad, but I think it works. Then Descent is another story that was my attempt to write a reverse harem story. I'm not really sure how that one turned out. Like The Black Dog, Swarm, Of Spiders and Puppies, those are much more within my wheelhouse. I know what I want to accomplish, and I understand the genre. Reverse harem, I don't know as much, and so I have some beta readers and alpha readers who will be going over the manuscript once I've allowed it to sit and steep a little bit, and if I decide I even want to consider it seeing the light of day. Then there's Divergent Destinies. Now this one was really fun because it was my attempt at working with a more updated version of the Choose Your Own Adventure stories. And I really love writing in this format. I will admit it is huge. It is over 300,000 words at this point. I think I figured out a way to make this work in an effective method for people who might want to participate in it, but it's going to need a little bit more work. Then Dragon Lost is, well, it was done, and then I found some things I need to fix. I tell you, this book has been done so many times, and then I find issues. Also, I found out that there may be another story coming out that has the same title. I need to do some research to make sure I'm not going to be creating any issues by continuing with this title, even though lots of books can have the same title, but sometimes it's just for the best to maybe choose a different avenue. So Dragon Lost may be getting another name. Then Beside Her Bears, that one's set aside for more analysis. I'm actually really excited how it turned out. It was supposed to be this sweet romance story, and then it ended up turning into an animal rescue story, and I don't know where the love interest went. He's just not really there, but she's taking care of all of these wonderful polar bears. And what makes me especially happy is this one is dedicated to my niece, so when she's old enough she'll get to read that, and I hope she likes animals as much as I do and her mother does, and I have to say it looks pretty promising given how she's responding to them already. Anyway, When Echoes Magnify is the other one that's done. It's just an odd collection of sort of connected dream-based stories. I'm not sure. That one feels a little bit too raw. Dancer at the Water's Midnight, that one sort of came out of the blue. I thought it was going to be a flash fiction piece, and it turned into a short novel. So, and by short, I mean about 50,000 words. Then The Princess and the Octopus. Oh dear, I should clarify. It's not hentai. So, yeah, it's just a princess ends up rescuing a little octopus, a little tiny octopus, and the little octopus wants to go on a mission of vengeance, and so she goes with it. And I might want to change that title because I just understood what one of my friends mentioned to me in passing about that title. Anyway, The Nightwalker's Christmas was completed. It was published. It actually did decently for a short story. It's in the green, which is always a wonderful, wonderful feeling. But in fairness, I didn't actually spend that much on it. Then What Sleep Hid, that also appeared in an anthology, and it has since been expanded. Along the Forest Dimly, which is connected to Through the Paintings Dimly. Then She with the Hair of Snakes. So this is one I really am hoping I can upload soon. The problem is I do really want some good, customized, either digitally manipulated or completely illustrated art, because I think that the story of Medusa, particularly when you consider it in its full concept, is quite fascinating. And this will hopefully actually dig into a little bit more, but also within the context of the world of Tue-Rah. Then The River Ran Green and Sailor of the First Wave. So those are two, they just came out of the blue. The Sailor of the First Wave is the one that I find the most interesting because I actually really am afraid of spiders, and yet I have written a story now with a race of spider people in which the spider is the protagonist, and I really feel for her. And it's just interesting how writing ends up taking us into these interesting places. So, all in all, I would say that my writing for the year, it didn't go the way I wanted it to. I only ended up completing probably about 1.5 million words when you look at only the ones that were being written directly for the fiction and not including what went into the world building in those documents. And I understand that that sounds like a decent number, and it's not terrible. I was writing very consistently and making sure that I was hitting my minimum goals. But I've had years where I've gotten upwards of 3 million, and I miss that, and I have a lot more stories that I want to tell. So I'm probably going to revise this challenge. I want to see what I can do to be more focused in my storytelling as a whole. Right now, I actually focus more on, I have my primary project, and then I have my secondary project, and then I have my tertiary, and then I just have fun with it. But it seems that there is sort of this cap on each project, or some projects that I can't wrap my mind around. One of the issues that I've been running into so much with Dragon Lost is simply the fact that I miss my friend who it's written for so much. And I've realized I've been running into some very serious blocks as I've tried to finish it. It feels like saying goodbye to her again. And you know, then other stories like trying to finish up Gold Queen, and I'm realizing I might be overthinking some of the genre, and I'm really good at poking holes in things, including my own stories, and sometimes that just needs to be released. So that's my report for last year's challenge. I apologize that this is about a month late, but as you can see, I now have my microphone set up. I think I understand better what my video strategy is going to be. and hopefully it goes well. So how did writing go for you in the past year? And if you're not a writer, why don't you tell me how your reading went? Because, I haven't read quite as many books as I wanted to read, but I did read some good ones, and I can't wait to share more about those great stories with you soon. So I will talk to you later. Hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. And for those of you continuing with NaNoWriMo, keep up the good work. Those words can get down. I'll talk to you later. Bye.